Do you hear that? Game sound. Two kinds. There are a lot of ways to look at sound and break it down into useful categories. In this video, we're going to discuss diegetic and non-diegetic sound and how they help us make games with detailed soundscapes that also communicate to the player. Hi, my name is Geedy McD. Here on the channel, we talk about the ins and outs of game design so that you are equipped to analyse, discuss and create great games. Sound is an important part of almost any game. It accomplishes many feats within a game's design, including, but not limited to, communicating to the player, offering feedback, setting the mood, increasing immersion, and placing emphasis on important elements. One way to look at sound is to divide the sounds in a game into diegetic and non-diegetic sounds. Diegetic sound means sound that comes from the world of the game. We can think of this as sound that the characters in the game world can hear. Guns firing, characters talking, the sound of a smith beating their hammer, ambient generator hum, or crowd noise, roaring of enemies. All things that people of the world would hear if they were close enough. Diegetic sound is used to create a world that feels real to the player. Most of the things in our real lives make noise when they are interacted with, and by adding these sounds to your game world, it will make it feel real and immersive to the player. A game without them feels a little off-putting and wrong. Diegetic sound is also used to emphasise things that might be important. Levers and doors are often super loud and grindy. We use diegetic sound so the player hears the interacting objects, and we use volume to communicate importance. You may also hear screams, yelling, or other sound effects that will point the player in the right direction. Non-diegetic sound is something that the characters in the game can't hear, that is added to the game for the audience, which in most cases is the player. This might be voiceover, background music, or narration. It may also be sound effects created for actions that have no real-world way to generate sound. Non-diegetic sound is often used to set or change the player's mood. This can be accomplished by using background music. Changing up the background music used can create a huge difference in the emotional feel of a scene or an area. Without getting too sidetracked, here is the same piece of gameplay with two fitting but different background tracks. Other non-diegetic sounds can also be used to emphasise a moment or shift mood. Games with moments of tension where the player feels uneasy are common examples. Loud, eerie sound effects will be used to make the player feel less comfortable. Non-diegetic sound is usually used in games to communicate information to the player, sometimes when the screen is busy with action. As we said before, background music can change the player's mood, and we can use this to also tell them something about the game state. A great example of this is moving from states of combat. Moving from a calm walk through the forest with calm background music to being in the forest and hearing intense combat music will signal to the player that something is about to go down, like this example from Skyrim. Or perhaps these different tracks from Horizon Zero Dawn for general play, when machines are searching for you, and then combat. Non-diegetic sound will also be used in some sound effects. It is good practice to use multiple forms of feedback for important actions in your game, sound being one type of feedback. So for actions that don't have a logical diegetic sound, we will instead make up a non-diegetic sound for us to use instead. We can even be more inventive and flexible if we want, since it won't break immersion if we use something that doesn't seem to come from the game world. As an example, here is the sound effect that is played when tagging an enemy in Uncharted 4. Or perhaps the player did something right in Zelda, and you want the player to know they just discovered a secret. And this is where a lot of content about this type of sound finishes. Here's the definitions. Okay, off you go. Go do sound. But because I love you guys, I'm going to go one better. I'm going to give you a quick outline about how you might apply this to a game. I like the idea of teaching the theory, but then also giving a strategy that you could use to apply it. But let me know what you think down in the comment section. Maybe people are just here for the theory and they don't give a crap about how to apply it. They can work that out themselves. Anyway, now that we know what the two types of sound are, how can we go about using them in our games? First, take the objects you intend to put in the game and work out a diegetic sound for each one that you think should have the sound. So if the player is an example, we're going to need footsteps, or movement sounds such as jumps and landings, and grunts, etc. Now go through your sounds and work out how important each one is. Some sounds will need to be louder than others. Footsteps and spoken lines will need to be louder than clothes rustling, for example. Some you may not need at all. If your game only has 4 trees in it, maybe you can leave out the creaking in the wind sounds. Once you have all of your diegetic sounds in, and the world feels like a living, breathing world that responds to the player, think about your core game loop. What does the player need to know? Go back through your system and add in sounds where feedback is required. Ideally, a player will be able to identify if something important happened, even if it was off screen. You can augment a moment to mean different things also with non-diegetic sound. Here's a chest opening in Assassin's Creed. And here's one from Ocarina of Time. Same action, vastly different feel thanks to the non-diegetic sound. Is there anything in your game that you need to juice up by adding non-diegetic sound? In Horizon Zero Dawn, we see each item of increased rarity get a more extravagant flair accompanied with the pickup sound. Listen for the drum sounds here. Here's a normal item. Here's a green item. And here's the blue item. Did you notice the difference? Once you have both your diegetic and non-diegetic sounds in place, your game should start coming to life, and your player should start feeling a little more confident that they know what's going on. Now add your music. I'm not going to say too much about music because it will depend on the mood of the game that you are going for, the systems in your game, and a bunch of other factors. Just remember, you can also communicate with your music. Just to reiterate this, here is the music from Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. It both fits the tone and communicates to the player. First, when the level just starts, then a bit further on, then 10 seconds from the bomb exploding. You don't need to look at the clock to know that time is getting tight. Subscribe to the channel. Haha, got you. But seriously, after going through all of this talk about sound, hopefully I've shown you some ideas that you can take away and put in your own games. If you haven't yet, I would suggest subscribing to the channel. If you do, there will be a lot more opportunity for ideas in the future. If you don't, and you don't think that I'm worth it, ouch, that's harsh. But maybe consider giving the video a like to help others find it, and don't forget to comment if you like the application strategy. Here on the channel, we talk about the ins and outs of game design so that you are equipped to analyze, discuss, and create great games.